Hi everyone and welcome to this YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to talk about the top 10 fastest jets in the world. So before starting this video, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. 1. NASA divided by USAF X-15 Mach 6.72, an experimental high-speed rocket-powered research aircraft. The X-15 was a joint operation between NASA and the United States Air Force. The result was more rocket-based than fighter jet, but showed just what was possible when jets used rockets instead of, well, jets. Developed throughout the 1960s, only 3 were ever built, which were attached to 2 modified B-52 bombers that carried the X-15 before launching mid-air. 8 of the 12 pilots that flew the X-15 reached an altitude higher than 50 miles. This met the Air Force spaceflight criterion, in turn automatically qualifying these pilots as astronauts. The military pilots qualified for astronaut wings, while the civilian pilots received NASA astronaut wings 35 years after the last X-15 flight. 2. Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird, Mach 3.4, with a top speed only half that of the X-15. The Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird may seem slow in comparison. However, it is still one of only 5 aircraft ever produced capable of exceeding Mach 3.0. The SR-71 is the fastest fighter jet ever, considering the X-15 was more rocket-based and the fastest fighter jet ever produced and used in service. Used by both NASA and the USAF, the SR-71 was developed in the 1960s for reconnaissance missions. The last SR-71 was retired in 1999 by NASA since many reconnaissance roles are now undertaken by satellites. As well as flying fast, the Blackbird was capable of flying high for sustained periods. While some jets can climb high, many cannot cruise at high altitudes, but the SR-71 could easily fly at heights of 25,000 meters, making it perfect for reconnaissance from a safe distance. There's no doubt the SR-71 was fast. It flew from New York to London in just 1 hour 54 minutes and 56.4, while even Concorde at the time would take 2 hours and 52 minutes. 3. Lockheed YF-12 Mach 3.2. The Lockheed YF-12 was the predecessor and prototype of the SR-71 Blackbird. Development began in the late 1960s when 3 YF-12 seconds were produced as prototype interceptor aircraft to replace the F-106 Delta Dart interceptor. At the time of development, the USAF was moving funding towards the Vietnam War and other military priorities. Following retirement by the USAF, the YF-12 went on to be a research aircraft for NASA before becoming the basis for the SR-71 that later went into production and served with the USAF. 4. MiG-25 Foxbat, Mach 3.2, still in limited service today. The MiG-25 Foxbat is the only aircraft capable of speeds over Mach 3.0 in use by air forces. Developed in the 1960s, the MiG-25 quickly became one of the fastest fighter jets ever and has held that record for over 50 years. While more modern variants have been adopted such as the MiG-31 and MiG-29, the MiG-25 still plays a role as an interceptor and for reconnaissance missions with a few air forces around the world. Almost 1,200 were produced, although production has ended. When the MiG-25 is finally retired, there are currently no other jets capable of Mach 3.0 or faster in service anywhere in the world. 5. Bell X-2 Starbuster, Mach 3.2, another rocket wing-style aircraft much like the X-15. The Bell X-2 Starbuster was a research aircraft developed in the 1940s and 1950s. The X-2 seconds' main purpose was to study flight characteristics in the Mach 2-3 range, mainly the thermal thicket heating problem which was caused by aerodynamic friction. The Bell X-2 was designed to faster and at altitudes higher than the Bell X-1 and succeeded at delivering valuable research. 3 years later, the X-15 would go into development and surpass the X-2 seconds speeds by quite some margin. 6. XB-70 Valkyrie, Mach 3.02. Developed as a prototype to the planned B-70 nuclear bomber, the North American XB-70 Valkyrie was a supersonic strategic bomber, and the only bomber ever to travel at these speeds. Developed in the late 1950s, the XB-70 was capable of cruising at Mach 3 plus at 70 feet or 21,000 meters. At this altitude and these speeds, it was believed the B-70 would be immune to any interceptor aircraft, being too fast for any other aircraft at the time to catch up with it and difficult for radars to see it. However, with the advancement of surface-to-air missiles, the XB-70 developed a weakness, so the USAF started conducting lower-level test flights. But the XB-70 offered little additional performance over the B-52, which it was designed to replace, and was subsequently cancelled. 7. MiG-31 Foxhound, Mach 2.83, developed as a replacement for the older, but faster MiG-25 Foxbat. The MiG-31 Foxhound is a supersonic interceptor aircraft developed in the 1970s and still in service today. While the MiG-31 could technically reach speeds of Mach 3.2 with risk of engine damage, its limited top speed of Mach 2.83 means the MiG-31 is still the second fastest fighter jet in service today, and is expected to remain in service for several years to come. While the MiG-25 was faster, it lacked maneuverability and was difficult to fly at lower altitudes. The MiG-31 was developed to be far more agile and easier to fly, albeit slightly slower. 8. F-15 Eagle, Mach 2.5. The McDonnell Douglas F-15 Eagle is the fastest multi-role rider in the world with a top speed of Mach 2.5. Still in service today and adopted by many air forces, the F-15 is available in many different variants, including the F-15E Strike Eagle and the F-15NC Eagle to suit various requirements. Introduced in the 1970s, the F-15 continues to be one of the most diverse fighter jets in the world, as well as one of the fastest. During its development, the initial requirement was to reach speeds of Mach 3.0. However, this was lowered to Mach 2.5 in order to save costs. Subsequently, the F-15 focuses less on speed and altitude and more on air superiority, since the faster a jet can go, the more compromises it has to make elsewhere, such as maneuverability. Currently, the F-15 has over 100 victories and 0 losses in air combat. 9. F-111 Aardvark, Mach 2.5. Introduced in the late 1960s, the General Dynamics F-111 Aardvark is a supersonic medium-range tactical aircraft used for multiple roles. However, primarily as a fighter bomber or strategic bomber, no longer in service today, and is replaced by the USAF with the F-15E Strike Eagle for strike missions. And while the supersonic bomber role has now been taken up by the B-1B Lancer, the F-111 was the first jet to use many technologies, including variable sweep wings and afterburning turbofan engines. 10. Su-27 Flanker, Mach 2.35. With a top speed of Mach 2.35, the Sukhoi Su-27 Flanker rounds off our top 10 fastest jets ever produced. Still in service today after being introduced in the 1980s, the Su-27 is designed as a direct competitor to the retired F-14 Tomcat, and the F-15 Eagle is a super maneuverable fighter aircraft. There are many related developments of the Su-27, including the Su-30, Su-33, and Su-34. While the Shenyang J-11 is a Chinese license-built version of the Su-27, much like the USAF, the Soviet Union favored maneuverability over sheer speed and altitude when developing the Su-27 in response to the F-15. What do you think of our video? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you for watching.